Today, we're taking a journey back in time to understand what life was truly like inside this sprawling camp. It wasn't just a temporary shelter. For many, it was a home for years, a place of waiting, of community, and of profound transformation. This is the story of the Hmong at Phanat Nikhom, a story of resilience, hope, and the long road to a new horizon. Phanat Nikhom, located in Chonburi Province, Thailand, wasn't just another refugee camp. It was a processing center, the final gateway for those approved for resettlement in third countries like the United States, Australia, and Canada. When families first arrived, often after already spending time in other camps like Ban Viney, the feeling was a mixture of relief and anxiety. Relief, because they were one step closer to a permanent home. Anxiety, because this was a completely new world. The camp was a city unto itself, a grid of long wooden houses with corrugated metal roofs, sectioned off into different zones. Families were assigned a small space within these longhouses, often just a single room separated from neighbors by thin bamboo or wooden partitions. Privacy was a luxury few could afford. You could hear the conversations, the laughter, and the cries of the families next to you. Life was lived out in the open. Electricity was limited, and running water was available only at communal spigots, where people would line up to collect water for cooking, cleaning, and bathing. Food was distributed through rations, large bags of rice, canned fish, oil, and salt. It was enough to survive, but it lacked the freshness and variety of the mountain farms they had left behind. So the Hmong did what they always do. They adapted. Tiny gardens began to sprout up in any available patch of soil. People cultivated chili peppers, lemongrass, and green vegetables to supplement their diet and bring a taste of home to their meals. The marketplace within the camp became the vibrant heart of the community. Here you could find people selling produce from their gardens, intricate page, Nyob, or story cloths, and various handmade goods. It was a place of commerce, but more importantly, it was a place of connection, where news was shared and friendships were forged. For many, the stay in Phanat Nikhom was not short. While some families were processed and left within months, others waited for years. This period of waiting was filled with a structured routine. Children attended schools run by refugee volunteers and international aid organizations. They learned Thai, English, and other subjects that would prepare them for life in a new country. It was a strange education, learning about Western customs and geography while living in a Thai camp, all the while holding on to their Hmong identity. Adults also attended classes. Language lessons, cultural orientation sessions, and vocational training were crucial. They learned about things that seemed completely foreign: how to use a Western-style toilet, how to operate a washing machine, how to navigate a supermarket, or how to write a check. Imagine, after a life of farming and bartering, suddenly having to understand the concept of a bank account or a credit score. These classes were essential bridges to the world that awaited them. But life wasn't just about classes and waiting. A deep sense of community thrived within the camp's confines. Despite the hardships, people found ways to celebrate. Hmong New Year was a major event, a vibrant explosion of color, music, and tradition. People would don their finest traditional clothing, painstakingly saved or newly embroidered. The sound of the keej, the traditional bamboo mouth organ, would echo through the camp, its melodies telling ancient stories and expressing a longing for a lost homeland. There were ball-tossing games, courtship rituals, and feasts shared among families. These celebrations were a powerful act of cultural preservation, a declaration that even in displacement, their identity would not be lost. Of course, life in the camp was also filled with immense challenges. The uncertainty was a heavy burden. Families waited anxiously for their names to be called, for the interview that would decide their fate. Rumors would sweep through the camp like wildfire, causing both hope and despair. There was the constant fear of being denied resettlement and sent back to Laos. Health was another major concern. The crowded conditions made the camp susceptible to outbreaks of disease. Access to medical care was present but often overwhelmed. And beyond the physical ailments, there were the invisible wounds of war and displacement. Many carried the trauma of what they had witnessed and lost. The stress of their current situation, coupled with grief for their past, took a significant mental and emotional toll. Yet, the community's support system was a lifeline. Neighbors looked out for one another, families pooled their resources, and elders provided guidance and a sense of stability. Then, finally, the day would come. A family's name would be posted on a list. They had been approved. This moment was a whirlwind of emotions: elation, relief, sadness, and fear. Sadness at leaving behind friends and family who were still waiting, and fear of the unknown journey ahead. They would go through final medical checks and paperwork, say their goodbyes, and board a bus that would take them away from Phanat Nikhom towards an airport and onto a new life. The Phanat Nikhom camp officially closed in 1996, but its legacy lives on in the memories of the tens of thousands who passed through its gates. It was a place of limbo, a waiting room between a past that was violently erased and a future that was yet to be written. Life inside the camp was a structured routine. It was organized with rows of long houses built from wood and bamboo with corrugated metal roofs. While it offered more stability than the more makeshift camps, it was still a life of confinement. Barbed wire fences were a constant reminder that they were not yet free. Days were filled with classes, language classes to learn English or French, and cultural orientation sessions to prepare for a completely alien way of life. Imagine being a Hmong farmer from the mountains of Laos, suddenly having to learn about things like using a telephone, navigating a supermarket, understanding traffic lights, or operating a washing machine. These classes were crucial. They were the bridge between their past and their future. Instructors taught them about Western customs, the importance of a 9-to-5 workday, and how to open a bank account. For many, it was overwhelming, like learning to live on a different planet. But Phanat Nikhom wasn't just about classes and paperwork. In the face of uncertainty, the Hmong people did what they have always done. They built a community. The camp buzzed with life. Bustling markets sprung up where people could buy fresh vegetables, meat, and traditional herbs. Women sat together, their fingers skillfully working on intricate page Nyob or story cloths, sewing the stories of their escape and their history into the fabric. These cloths weren't just beautiful art. They were a way to preserve their memories and earn a small income. Children's laughter echoed through the camp's dirt roads. They played games, attended makeshift schools, and formed friendships, their young minds adapting more easily to this strange, in-between world. For them, Phanat Nikhom was their entire world, a playground filled with friends, even if it was enclosed by a fence. Young people found love, and couples got married, their ceremonies blending traditional Hmong customs with the reality of their refugee status. Life in all its complexity continued. Food was a central part of camp life. Rations were provided, typically rice, canned fish, and vegetables. But the Hmong are resourceful people. Small garden plots were cultivated wherever a patch of dirt could be found. They grew familiar herbs and vegetables, a taste of home that brought comfort and a sense of normalcy. The smell of traditional Hmong cooking lemongrass, chili, and gingerwood drift through the air, a powerful reminder of their enduring culture. However, beneath the surface of daily life, a current of anxiety always flowed. The resettlement process was a maze of interviews, medical checkups, and endless waiting. Families would gather around the announcement boards each day, their hearts pounding as they scanned the lists for their names. Seeing your family's name meant you were one step closer to leaving. It meant a future, but not seeing it meant more waiting, more uncertainty. This process could separate families, sending relatives to different countries, adding another layer of heartbreak to their journey. The day of departure was a whirlwind of emotions. Saying goodbye to friends who had become like family was incredibly difficult. These were the people who understood your journey, who had shared the same fears and the same hopes. There were tears and tight embraces, promises to write, and a shared understanding of the monumental step they were about to take. Boarding the bus that would take them from Phanat Nikhom to the airport in Bangkok was the final act of a long, painful chapter. It was the moment they left Southeast Asia behind for good. As they stepped onto the airplane, many for the first time in their lives, they carried with them so much more than the few bags they were allowed. Carried the memories of their mountain villages, the trauma of war and escape, the community they built in the camps, the hopes and dreams for their children in a new land. Today, Phanat Nikhom is closed. The longhouses are gone, and the land has been repurposed. But for the Hmong diaspora scattered across the globe, its memory is indelible. Represents the final gateway on their journey from refugee to citizen. It was a place of transition, a crucible where they were prepared for a new world while holding tightly to the traditions that defined them. The lessons of resilience, community, and hope learned within its fences became the foundation upon which they built new lives in America, France, and beyond, contributing their rich culture to the global tapestry. The story of Phanat Nikhom is a powerful testament to the strength of the human spirit. It reminds us that even in the most uncertain of times, people can create community, preserve their culture, and hold on to hope for a better future. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this story meaningful, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more stories like this. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time.